There we go. There's AI. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and wherever you are, welcome to Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob. This is part 2 of Deadly Dead. Are we dead yet? So what do you think about death? That's my question, you know? I've been around death a lot. I worked in hospitals. I was the dude in the 70s when AIDS was a real issue, and going into the 80s. And I had been a photojournalist, and I photographed the Sarajevo Olympics, the Yugoslavian Olympics in the early 70s. And then I went back after Bill Clinton's war in Yugoslavia. And I spent a good month in Sarajevo at the Olympics. And it's a beautiful city. It's one of those European cities that you think, Lord of the Rings that was happening there. And so to see it just turned into rubble. It's very similar to in the mid 70s when I was living in Sweden, and I used to fly on the Swedish nickel into lots of different foreign countries because they bought all of their citizens vacations, and half of them were so neurotic they couldn't leave home. So you could get to the Stockholm airport, and they would have this big board of all flights. If you're ready to just walk on the airplane, you could go. So that's how I saw most of Africa and North Africa and the Middle East, and all points European, and a number of points Asian. And when I would get on the airplane, because I had an international driver's license that I got in Sweden, and I said I lived in Sweden, and it had the Swedish stamp on it, I would get these. You get on the airplane and you got a 2-week visa, tourist visa, because I was going to be in a tour, stay with all these Swedes, go on tours with all these Swedes, stay in hotels with all these Swedes. So we were not a threat to anybody. But once I got there, I would go on a tour and take the meals and stay in the hotel. But late at night, the Swedish people, once they leave Sweden, become wild, crazy party animals. So our tour guides would say, you're not really Swedish, and you're too much fun, so come on, let's go out tonight. So they would take me to all these places. And so when we were in Syria, and we stayed in Damascus, but we went to out all those Buddhist monasteries that are in. Who knew there were Buddhist monasteries in and Indian, Hindu. Because it's right there on the midterm line between Asia and Europe and Africa, and lots of people just kept going in and out and in and out, and they were beautiful and gorgeous. And ISIS, under the guidance of the Hidden Hand, and trained by elements of the military-industrial complex, basically destroyed Syria, just took it apart. So there's nothing left of it. And along with, same thing with, Colonel Gaddafi's country, which was heaven on earth. He took all that money. Everyone in his country had a house, had education, free healthcare, had a job, had a life. Everyone loved living there, right? There was no war. Everything was fine. And he not only dug oil wells, he dug even deeper and got to earth water. Our weather, it doesn't come from the sky. The water percolates up through the ground, evaporates, and causes weather. and he dug that water up, ancient water, and irrigated his whole country of Libya. And you know they were almost making as much money for their vegetables and their wines and their grapes and their fruits as they were for their oil. Um, and he had to go too, right? And why did Saddam also have to go? We visited there too, and why? Because he wanted the gold dinar for the oil rather than he invaded Kuwait. We had a war. We eradicated his army, except for the army that he would kill his own people with. That was fine, but we took everything away. So we knew he had no weapons of mass destruction because we sold them to him. Good old Rumsfeld sold them to him. So that's the thumbnail of death, war. That's what humans do, right? Because they are so conflicted about who they are, they kill themselves. They kill others. They kill the earth. And right now is going to be, if we keep pushing that agenda, Earth and the people, we will have a similar Noah experience, or the asteroid wiping out the dinosaurs, or a number. The Earth has been wiped out about 6 different times, and we've had high civilizations, Lemuria, Atlantis, and those were just the lower ebb of the higher crew. And our solar system was a spacefaring solar system. So where is all our money gone? To the breakaway civilization. Earthlings were already out in space. The Nazis went to the moon in the 30s and to Mars in the 40s, and all over the solar system, because they, basically rediscovered Tesla's. They read all his Colorado Spring notes and experiments, and saw that he built a workable, large scale factory of getting 0-point energy, free electricity. And also the understanding how to bend the ethers right around us so we could have gravomagnetic propulsion. Now, all these things are, if you just Google them, you will find little breadcrumbs, cookies, to lead you in that path. And it's all about life and death. And one of the real problems in the industrial world is that the majority of the population are the living zombie dead. They're not having a life. They're not pursuing their why they came here, which is to find who they are and to understand love's co-creation and to ascend, not to stay in this bag of water, because otherwise, tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, it's like in Macbeth, after he whacks everyone and he's king and he's sitting on there and his buddy, oh, we won. And, Macbeth, he was always kind of a downer, not quite as downer as the other one. Shakespeare wrote around, he basically talked about this whole story, and, his Midsummer Night Dream is really great when Puck gives a little ending thing of, life. What is life but a sorry tale of woe and comic relief, right? And we do this in our sleep, in our dreams. That's why the show's called Dreamy Dreamland. Anyway, I said I was going to come back at 2:30, and I came back at 2:40 because I had to run around a lot, and I finally got to, the place that I wanted to get to talk to you, and bingo, no. Anyway, so what do you guys have to say? There's 2 of you there. There's one of you and AI. And I even put 2 glasses on so I could read it. Remember to put it out in into capital letters so I can read it. Let's see.
Prison despite ruling against extradition. But Biden administration plans to continue to seek extradition of WikiLeaks Assange. Civil liberties groups asked Biden Justice Department to drop Julian Assange case. Julian Assange is still in prison, and America's democratic principles are still at stake. So this is from Assange is being prosecuted for activities that national security journalists engage in every day, and that they need to engage in if they are to serve as meaningful check to government power. Americans for Assange, publishing the truth is not a crime. Torturing a journalist is. And that's what's happening right now. So Susie, you're very close to what's happening with Julian Assange. Tell us, what is the status of Julian Assange's imprisonment? Is there any movement happening with the British government or the Biden administration?
Meet your next pillow. Want to make our pillow in the shape of a cube?
Meet your next pillow.
See this mug right here? I don't own it. I don't inventory it, and yet I make passive income from it like clockwork.
Passive income. That's you guys. They say you're not owned. You know, you're not inventoried. What do you think your smartphone's doing? Do-do-do. How many folk are here? Still just two. Come on, go get somebody. Bring them on. Anybody there? Anybody want to talk about something? Do. So there I am live. Ooh. The show we did this morning isn't here. I mean, I have no idea about the internet. Oh, no, there it is. 12 views watching and 2 views. Let me tell you a story. Tomorrow. What is what? It's a beautiful day. I love you all, my relations. How you doing? I'm waiting. Nobody showed up yet. Okay, so that's what it is. Oh, baby. Oh boy, that felt good. Ugh. So nobody wants to say anything. No one wants to have a chat. Oops. Morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to Dreamy Dreamland with I, your Sensei Al Bob. And how you doing? So let's breathe a little. Anyway, let's see. I'm waiting for, 3. Now who's there? Sandra, how you doing? Sandra, did you watch this morning's show? Did you, we're talking about death. What do you think about death? Do you think about death at all? I've had loads of friends commit suicide. I had tons of friends die of AIDS and cancer. I have had friends die in war. I've seen a lot of death. I worked at the VA. I saw a lot of death there. I worked in hospitals. I saw a lot of death. Death is just the beginning, right? And you have to be aware, what's that guy? Doors to Perception by Aldous Huxley, right? He had gotten him, in his 60s, he started doing psychotropic drugs. And he really thought, oh, this is the door to perception. And so when he died a number of years after he wrote that book, he went out on the, more mics of acid than, most people would dare to take. But he was dying, so what the heck? He wanted a real wild ride. And so he did that. And other folk, have done similar things, meditation, other stuff. People who OD. I've been an EMT, and so I responded to a number of people ODing and dying, and we brought them back. So, and my whole trip, my job in the bus, I mean, I was a surgical EMT, meaning I could do airways, I could do lines, I could do a lot of stuff. Love Huxley. Yep. And so what of his books did you like the best, Sandra? So your statement that a death is just the beginning, right? Well, it's more like the doorway, just as Huxley and Bacon and all the bards talked about death being the doorway. And there's a book, an ancient book called The 9 Doorways. And it was a movie about it, 9 Doors, with the guy who did the Pirates of that guy. He was always drunk, Captain, what's his name? Anyway, he played this book dealer, and he got himself mixed up in trying to find the hidden pages of this one book. So this one rich guy could do the ceremony and he could live forever. And that's what a lot of secret societies are always about. And if you go, Sam, did you ever see Johnny Depp? Yep, that's the one. Did you see that movie? And did you ever see the movie Zardos? If you go on the YouTube and just, it's X Zardos. If you put Zardo, everything you ever wanted to know about Zardos, it'll tell you the story about where the movie came from and who did it, and who produced it, and directed it, and wrote it, and Sean Connery played the main dude. Yep, that's it. XARDOS. You know, that's why I'm really fond of putting X. You know, that's like my little you know, shamanic publishing there. My Griot Publishing is called xratted.blogspot.com. Candid, did you ever go there and take a look at my writings? What do you think of my writings? How do you like my writing style? I try to destroy, spindle, and mutilate the English language. Some people would say, I can't read this. And other people, this is poetry. You know, so I'm somewhere in between. I try to be a bard. Anyway, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to Dreamy Dreamland. Let's see, please send me the link. All you got to do is Google xratted.blogspot.com. That's all you got to do. I have not figured out how to send links or do any of that stuff that most people go, that's old hat. Oh, you don't know how to do that, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, I went to my, my internet guru to see why one of my phones, isn't working on my phone. Basically, I think it's that I used up whatever bit of internet, what do you call that stuff? You know, there's messaging and there's voice, and then there is the other stuff. And I have a little bit of that, a gig or two, and I think it went astray. So anyway, but he's so technically adroit, he just went, blah, 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 blah. It works. But he didn't really look to see, because once I put two glasses on and went into a dark place, I saw that what I was looking for wouldn't still not come up, because he was like, blah, blah, blah. It works. And that is one of the problems of humanity today, is that they are not awake, even though they think they know what they're doing. Terrence McKenna. Yeah, I like him a lot. You know, I've been to a lot of conferences with him. And, Mr., you got the LSD up here. You don't need to take the hair, you know. And he's right. You know, one time I was with a bunch of people who were like, psychonauts. You know, they were taking a zillion hits of acid. And they had gotten some really, really, really great Sandoz stuff. So one little drop was like worth, 40 tabs. And I was going, well, I don't know. And I had my mouth open just big enough where to go, went click. And not just hit me with one drop, but like, And so, within 15 minutes, it was like, oh, look at this. We're out in the universe and, look at all this stuff. And I already knew about all this stuff. I'd already seen it because I'd gone through the 9 doors. And so all I did was, and these guys had turned themselves into a puddle, and I just meditated and came right around straight as an arrow. Like within, everyone had gotten to the point where they were like crying and in the fetal position, and I just came out the other side and kind of looked around, and I was still tripping as much as they were, but I was awake. And so it was more like wallpaper than emotional catharsis or mind screwing. What do you think about shrooms and ecstasy? Again, I can go to a higher place through meditation and breath than through drugs. Now, I like both shrooms. I used to live in Jamaica. I lived in a place called Negril. There are only 2 beaches in Jamaica because it's a volcanic island. Is Ocho Rios, where the rich people are, the English, and Negril, where there was nobody. And it was a beautiful beach, and there was nobody there when I was there. And a friend of mine, who cousin, had bought this really beautiful, smancy house in Negril that his cousin was a doctor, And it was assured that there'd be running water and electricity any day now. And 7 years later, nothing. So he couldn't fill up his swimming pool, and nothing worked in the house. And so my friend hooked me up with his cousin because I had just come back from being out in New Mexico and being part of the alternative scene technologically, and I had been Cooper Union, and we had invented all kinds of windmills and all kinds of did all kinds. The reason why you can put photocells on your roof and use that to run your house and then sell the excess to the utility company is that we invented at Cooper Union that technology. And then Cooper Union had enough money to, they were sued by the utility company. Get that off our line. You're going to cause a problem. And they sued. They were in court for 20 years for millions of dollars and all the way to Supreme Court. And Cooper proved that, no, this is actually a good thing. It's just like in 1972 at Cooper Union, we put forth to the Energy Department and Transportation Department and federal government that we should replace all light bulbs with light-emitting diodes and, compact fluorescence. We did that in 72. And they didn't start fooling around with the compact fluorescence until the early O's, and they didn't start doing diodes until, 2006, 7, before the great crash. But we had that technology in 70 frigging 2. We figured it out later that over 1 trillion billion tons of CO2 had gone into the air because they used, incandescent light bulbs for 40 years. And they could have very easily switched into that lane. But they didn't because utilities and the oil companies wanted to be the most wasteful they could. The other thing is when Tesla invented alternating current to be industrialized and everyone used it instead of Edison's crazy, stupid DC, he had these regulators that would put across the three phases that basically, and that's why the Tesla automotive company is called Tesla, because they use a synchronous AC motor instead of a DC motor to drive it. So they get tremendous efficiency. So they can get 400 or 500 miles on a charge, right? And it hardly uses any current. And we've had free electricity since the 1890s. We've had people zipping around out there in space in gravomagnetic ships since the 1870s. There were a bunch of Germans that came to California right where, all the aircraft guys are right now. This technology has been here forever. And it's going to be snapped like that. Why are they all getting ready for electric cars? Because they're going to bring on Tesla's wireless transmission of electric current to cars. It's the only way electric cars can really work is if they can just keep driving and driving and driving like gasoline cars. And then they don't even have to stop at a gas station. And you will see these things come about. And by the 4th of July, there is going to be such a disruption that, everyone they'll be crying and gnashing of teeth, and lots of, you thought, Black Lives Matter was crazy. You thought, January 6th was, well, starting with July 4th. And it's gonna really start once people can get around in June. But in July 4th, there's going to be a disruption like no one's like that. There is this, hack in virtually every major computer system in America that was made the year 2000, Y2K, looked like nothing. And so basically the internet's going to crash. It's designed it's designed to survive a nuclear war, but it's been so taken apart and put together and done so many things to which weren't planned that it's going to be everyone's going to be offline, period. Me, I live out in the middle of the woods. I have no interest. I have nothing, right? Which is, why do you think I'm out there? Why do you think I spent the whole freaking winter snowed in there? It was like training day, so I'm good, you know. I got my garden going in. Most of my food I get out of the forest, and I have unbelievably pure spring water. I don't need electricity. It's convenient, but I don't need it. I got photocells and batteries, and that's good enough for task lighting and charging tools and stuff. But, you know, so Sandra, did you try going to xratted.blogspot.com? Many people have, so I know it's possible. And I've tried to link me. I've never been able to succeed in linking anything or even starting. Sandra, have you sent me anyone who wants to send me a little something through PayPal, and you need to use my Gmail account, and it's the Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. The Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. And you can also send me a little, hey, here I am. How you doing? There are a lot of people, like of the almost 400 of the cadre, there are 188 of what I call Padawans. And I got that from Joseph Campbell, who got that from the Anunnaki. That's what they called their adepts. And but you start out as a child, as a Padawan, and then once you went to past puberty, and you went through a number of ceremonies, you became an adept, right? So I offer that training to anyone who wants it. You don't even have to pay me anything. But if you want to gift me, if you find this show, worthwhile, if you get anything out of it, you can send me something through PayPal to my Gmail account, the Dude Awake 42, and it'd be nice because I've got $58 left in my bank account, and I'm waiting for the stimulus check. Anyway, out of those 400 people, there are 180 who got a hold of me on 88 on the old Gmail account. Said, I want to study with you. And I said, fine, here, and, just I'll send you money. You can send me a certificate that I'm a shaman. I said, it doesn't work that way. You have to, have that happen to you. And I can do it over the internet. And here's a list of books you should, like when you start high school, they give you in the summer, your summer reading list. And so, my summer reading list was The Course in Miracles. Anybody read The Course in Miracles? Who else is? Sandra's there. And who else is there? Anybody else? Sandra. Terrence McKinnon is a good guy. The Course in Miracles, very good book because it's a Course in Miracles. You learn how to do miracles. But anything's a miracle. If you can find your car keys, that's a miracle. If I can find anything in the man cave, it's a miracle. Without having to, even when I take everything fucking out and there's nothing left in the man cave and it's all spread across the clearing, I still can't find anything. And then I'll walk back in the place and I'll slip on something and there it is and I'm looking for it. So, I mean, one of the reasons why I'm out there in the woods is that it is shamanically a hot spot, a swinging hot spot, as Joni Mitchell would say. And I've stayed there now 18 months. I haven't been living anyplace else. I've gone to see some doctors out of town for a day or two, but I'm the only place I can stay, safely and not worry about, someone saying, get out of my house, is the Deep Green. And so you've read The Course in Miracles. What do you think of it? I just said it, XRATTED. dot blog, blog, spot, spot, dot, .org, .com, either one. I think it's .com. xratted.blogspot.com. Right. I have to say it all at once for me to say it. I've said it so many times. Yeah, the Course in Miracles is great because there is the text and then the workbook and then the teacher's guide. It's really, and Sandra, when you got it, good. When you read the Course in Miracles, did you read it with a group of other people? Because that book is really best read with a group of people that you can share it with, your cadre, right? The other book is Bloom's, and Bloom is, in my humble opinion, the best person on the runes. And he has a book called The Healing Runes, The Working Rune. He's got, the runes scoped out for many, many things. But my favorite of all his works is The Healing Runes. And I use that as a tool to heal with, right? What other good books? There's so many. I mean, any of the Greek myths, my favorite, Sandra, what is your favorite Greek myth that you've read, that you haven't seen in a comic book or seen as a grade B movie? My favorite is Jason and the Argonauts. Because, the Argonauts, what's that? Well, they came from a place called Argos, and so they were like space guys. Argonauts, there's astronauts. These guys were the Argonauts, and they were sent forth to find, the what do they call that? The fleece, the golden fleece. That was their country, their city-state was going through lots of problems, and they couldn't fix them. Just like now, if you were to read Jason and the Argonauts right now, it would fit perfectly with what we got going on now. They were having plagues, they had economic things, their political structure was totally corrupt, and no one could fix anything. And the blind soothsayer said, well, if you go and get the golden fleece, and he said it like you could go to the store and get it, but it took them like 30 years. They traveled all over and went through all kinds of adventures, and that's why it's a great book, because they go through lots of adventures. It takes them 30 years. And each of those adventures is a metaphor for the human experience. And that's really what Greek literature, tragedies and pathos and comedy are about. And, the Greeks, Shakespeare had the two comic and tragic masks. That's the symbol for theater. Well, the Greeks started off because I have a tattoo on my back of the Greek symbol for theater, and it was two faces. Oh, do I have my? Let's see. I can't get at it. It's the two faces. There's one face with a line down, and the nose kind of goes sideways. Eye here. And there's a smile on one side and a frown on the other. And that's the human experiment. We're either crying or laughing. Crying Sammy and laughing Sammy, But there's Fish. Hey, Fish. Good to see you, buddy. Sandra and Fish. There's 5 of you there. 1 thumbs up. Thank you. And again, anybody, hey, good morning, good evening. Welcome to Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob. Don't believe a word I say because I don't believe in anything. All I have is faith in love's co-creation, right? And that's what we're here to do. We are here to navigate, to co-create with love. A step forward, not backwards, step forward. So we can ascend our soul to that higher quadrant, right? And where we are right now, so I was saying Macbeth, right? So the last lines of Macbeth, he's sitting on the king's throne. He's killed everyone. His buddy goes, yeah, we're in power. We rule, blah, blah, blah. He said, so, I guess, why are you so, unhappy? I'm like, you're always unhappy, but you seem to be more. You should be celebrating. We won. And he goes, no. Well, why? He says, well, I'm thinking about tomorrow. Well, so tomorrow we'll drink some more, celebrate some more. And then tomorrow, and then tomorrow, and then tomorrow. And that is the hell. John's always going, everyone who doesn't believe in Jesus is going to hell. Not really. Because you are in hell right now, or heaven, or that in-between spot, right? But only in that moment. Because you can be wherever you want to be in the moment if you're awake, if you are co-creating with love. If you're not, you're in hell right now. Only of those who are, well, I believe in Jesus and I'm born again and the second coming is coming and everyone who doesn't believe like I do are going to hell and be there forever and I'm going to an ice cream shop. Not really. Sorry. So, what can I say? Sunray, greetings. Oh, we're getting up there, and we've only been doing it for 41 minutes now. So, we were starting out this morning. I talked about death, right? And what is death? And Sandra said that death is the beginning, and in a way, she's right. It's the beginning of the potential for you to do something different with your life. It's going to be different, or you're going to go right back with the spin of the wheel of karma as another bag of water doing the same old same, unless you wake up and learn how to love one love of all our relations. Nobody's more superior. No, there aren't. Everybody wins. There is no win. There isn't a zero-sum game. And because our world is a zero-sum game, yep, that rapture is here and now, or not, depending on how you want to play it. It's your, and we have free will. Everybody else doesn't. Everyone's already locked in. Everyone is already in rapture. All the animals, all the plants, all the insects, they're all doing what they're meant to do. They are moving along. They don't do anything. Oh, let's buy some stock. Let's have a war so we can make money. No. Sorry, that's not how it works. So, but humans, because they bought into the idea of the fruit, the strange fruit that Billie Holiday sings about, they bought into. You eat that, and bingo, the knowledge of good and evil. Sorry, there is no such thing. It's an illusion. When you bit that apple, you went from the Garden of Eden into the illusion. And we've been stuck there ever since because it's just the same moment. There is no linear time. God didn't invent the earth 6,000 years ago. Sorry, all you Bible thumpers who think Earth has only been here 6,000 years, and because pretty much if you've taken any theology or chemistry, you know that our solar system's been here at least 10 or more or less billion years, and the solar system's like 16, 20, but those are illusions too, because that's what we can see with our limited senses. The other 99.999% of everything else is dark matter. We have no idea what the frack that is. We're in a sandbox. There's our solar system, our universe, there's a fence around it. So that's why there seems to be nobody else here, because it's just all us pigeons, who think we have free will, who keep, playing this stupid game over and over again, right? The Big Bang is happening now, right? The only thing that exists is this moment, right now. Where's that camera? Right there, right now. That's the only thing that is, because past is just a memory. And, if you've ever had anything to do with courts, I used to work for lawyers. It's amazing. You have witnesses. They all have a different, what color is the car? They all say it's a different color. What make was all different make, because they don't get to talk to each other. They're supposed to be telling you what it's from. And why hypnosis doesn't work, because no matter how hard the person doing the hypnagogic retrieval, they can't help themselves but give tells to the character, and so the character tells the practitioner exactly what the practitioner wants to hear, and that's the same with most court cases. And the only people who get any semblance of justice are rich people because they can afford lawyers, good ones, right? Who can keep at it until they get the outcome they want. Not justice, the outcome they want. And that is the legal system we have. If you have enough money, you can get the outcome you want. That's why our founding fathers were pretty much all lawyers, and they got the taxation without representation was King George wanted to stick his bank here and do what the Federal Reserve does, charge interest. All right. So that was a taxation without representation. And then we did it to ourselves. And thank you, Mr. Rothschild, because he was that family brought that to us. Right. He also brought, our founding fathers were all, Masons, Illuminati. Look at our dollar bill, a pyramid with a burning eyeball at the top. Come on. I mean, that's what I mean. Nobody's awake. I mean, that's your dollar bill. And it's like, huh? I mean, there's a billion of them out there, and everyone, oh, yeah, this, yeah, pyramid, burning eyeball. Yep. Mm-hmm. Anyway, let's see what else. Big Bang is happening now. Yep. And so that's why we have the free choice to act in love's co-creation in the moment, being awake. If you are that, you don't need drugs. You don't need, ecstasy. And, like I said, they're like party favors. Back in the 90s, I used to go to these parties where everybody was on ecstasy. It was nice. Everybody loved each other. It was kind of huggy, kissy, lovey, and people were having sex over in the corner over there. And before you knew it, you were that person over in the corner having sex. It's like, and that was as close chemically as we could get to this spirituality of being present that Buddha talks about. Buddha's side of the road, he's like, woo, just humming in beauty. And a traveler sees him and says, wow, man, you God? And Buddha goes, no. And woo, oh man, what are you? And Buddha goes, I'm awake. And that's all it takes. He doesn't take drugs, doesn't take ecstasy or, mushrooms or any of the above. I mean, what I was telling, a friend who's like in great pain. And so they're taking all kinds of drugs that the doctors gave them. I said, you got to watch out for that stuff. And that's how most people have gotten addicted to barbiturate, into, OxyContin and things of that nature. I'm in pain all the time. I have Charcot legs. I have a neuropathy. I have, I've broken both my ankles. I've been an electrician for 50 years, standing on top of ladders, like jiggling around. So all my joints, I've been on my knees more than most nuns. I've been crawling around, wiggling like a reptile. And so every joint in my body, I put up 20,000 2x4 fluorescent, those things that go into offices, that go into those grids, that weigh about 26 pounds a piece. And you got to put them up in that grid. I probably put up 50,000 of those. And so, my shoulders, my rotator cuffs, my knee joints, my hip joints, my ankles, my toes, my fingers, I've done so much of this, doing this, that every joint, if I, like right now, I've been doing this now 49 minutes, I'm starting to rust. I have to start to move a little more. And other than my pain gets even more substantial. And when I wake up in the morning, I wake up to, oh my God, so what do? I meditate. Do I take OxyContin? No. Do I even take an aspirin? No. I mean, I take my baby aspirin just to keep my, my blood pressure and my cholesterol. But Other than that, no. So you can control you. I mean, that's why I'm alive, especially after this last time I died. I really should have been dead, but I didn't, and then I lost 240 pounds, lots of people have a hard time, losing 10 pounds and keeping it off. I've lost 240 pounds, and I kind of was 2 years ago. I lost 240 pounds, and I have kept it off since. I've been at between 220 and 240 the last 3.5 years, right? And I came from 480. Yeah. Oh. So next time I do this, I'll have photos. I found not all, a number of my photos from Australia. My trip with Donna Ann, where we lived in Australia for 3 years, and we had great adventures. And I found a lot of those pictures. My father threw out half of them. Donna took most of the black and whites, and I was shooting in a 2 1/4 color and Cibachrome, and because I met these Nazis who had this super duper Cibachrome, and they did all my developing for me, so I didn't have to die of the chemicals. And I got them in slides, right? And a Polaroid gave the SX70 was just coming out, and they gave me 5 SX70s in 2 cases, like 6,000 photographs. And when I got to the tribe of Aborigines, the Wallamachiri I lived with, we lived with them for almost a year out in the Nookumba in Christmas Creek. And, they knew I was coming. No one told them. They just knew. And they were waiting on the side of the road. I mean, we kept missing the bus. We were like months late, and they still were there when we showed up, waiting for us. And anyway, so they welcomed us. We were there. We were in it. And then, the tribe used to be about 1,900 people. And then when they found uridium, titanium, and coal in their valley, which those corporate folk came out and got some mercs to just walk up to these people and put a gun in their temple and blow their brains out. And they killed 1,812 people and left 9, because the 9 were out in the along the stream picking berries. And so that these guys just came and shot everybody. Nobody ran, because they didn't have to, because they knew death wasn't the end. They understood dream time. That's what this is all about. It's what the show is called, Dreamy Dreamland, because when you go into meditation and you go into your Akashic record, your library of your soul's existence, that's dreamland. You go read Bacon, you go read Blake, you go read all those guys who were talking about this. Read Mary Shelley. Frankenstein is all about, what Frankenstein is really about? Martin Young, good to see you. Your last stream was really bad quality. What was John going on about? Right. So I would say the bad stream, every time John comes on and just takes over the chat, either his karma or his energy or something, or he does it on purpose because he does have the widest bandwidth in the universe. And he really knows the internet. Every time I do a show, I end up with, 40 or so people who have watched it. There's like 7 showing here, but when I end it and I get the numbers of how many people watched, how much time in total, so this show has been 54 minutes. Like last show was about an hour, about 20 something people watched it. And, the watch time was almost 4 hours, right? Well, before I went on here, it had been posted up and it said there were 12 people had watched. And, when I left, there were about 5 thumbs up. And, every time I go look at my show, there is however many thumbs up that there were when I signed off, but there's usually 15 or 20 less people than it said there was before it. And then, a month later, when I go watch it, there'll be 100 or 200 people have watched it. And there'll be like 7 thumbs up and 8 thumbs down. And there's always more thumbs down. No matter how many thumbs up I get, there are more thumbs down. So I think that's either John Birmingham doing that or a bunch of trolls, because I think John actually has probably 100 Gmail accounts under different names. And I think half of the squirrely, trolls that have attacked us has been John. And every time he comes on and doesn't let anyone say anything, and he just, the whole show is John going on, I miss my wife, I've got to get back, how am I going to pay my bill, blah, blah, blah. And that is like The Walking Dead. And that's why I called him, I keep calling him the canary in the coal mine. And then Fish said that she was, or he was. I still have no idea what gender any of you are. I look at you at all my adepts as you can be any gender you want, And, in America, there are 23 states that have made it illegal if you're a kid to be transgendered. There are a number of states that have passed a law that if a teacher thinks that child is leaning that way, the teacher cannot talk to the kid about it. Kid wants to talk to the teacher about it. Teacher cannot say, by law, I can't talk to you. And the teacher has to out him to the parents, the police, and a sexual deviant list. So the kid is starting to feel strange about his gender in 3rd grade and doesn't even know what its feeling is. The teacher has to rat him out, and the kid goes on a sexual deviant list from 3rd grade on. And that's in America. And that's in about 23 states. And another 30-something states have made it a felony to exercise your First Amendment rights. Like last summer with Black Lives Matter, there's 30-something states that have laws that you're going to go to jail for 5 years for doing that. Whether you can be the most peaceful, just walking on the sidewalk, not getting in anyone's way, not having a sign, not doing anything, just Black Lives Matter, they can arrest you, put you in jail for 5 years, felony. Then you can't get employed, you can't do this, can't do that, About 30 states have that, and there are a whole bunch of states making it illegal to vote, pretty much, unless you're a white male. So the powers that shouldn't be are so freaking desperate. They're doing stuff like this, and it's going to come to a... Yep, it's good to be here. It's good to see you, Martin. So, Martin, this today we were talking about death, and Sandra said that it was Mary Shelley is awesome, and her Frankenstein is a story. You know what? It's not a sci-fi. It's not about scary monsters, because they don't call Frankenstein's creation anything. They call it the creature. Right? And he's more poetic, more open, more human than any of the humans. And the story really is about bad parenting, because Dr. Frankenstein is a bad father, because he creates this creature and then cuts him loose. Get out of my house. Don't come back. And then the creature kind of looks for company, right? And that was what Mary Shelley was talking about. Yep. And so we have, from the Greeks on, these myths and these tales that constantly, no matter how modern we think we are, how progressed or progressive we think we are, we're not. We're still mud puppets, and we're still connected to the illusion of our free will, because until we freely choose to co-create with love and be awake, we're just going to be a mud puppet. We're still just going to be, there is no, end times, because nothing's ending. All we are destined to is tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, as Macbeth said. And that's what he was really angst about, right? So, death is like slipping, Buddha said, it's like slipping out of a tight slipper. No big deal. And I've died 6 times. I kind of know it, and each time I kind of, I remember it pretty well. Pretty much I remember my whole life. First time I died was when I was born. The birth cord wrapped around my head, and these morons trying to pull me out with salad tongs from my mom. They were about to pop my head off like a tick. And this female doctor, who had a uterus, and she was all about natal care. And she pushed them out of the way, pushed me back into my mom's uterus. They were all aghast. Oh, she's got her hand in her woo, and she turned me around, unwrapped the cord around my neck, and turned me out. And I was a frigging blue baby because I was being strangled to death, lynching by, umbilical cord. And she took care of business, cleaned my mom up, picked me up, wrapped me up, swallowed me, took me off, put me in her own version of an oxygen tent, and hooked me up to a IV that, got liquids back in me, replenished me so my body could make blood. And that was the first 60 seconds of my life. And I remember that. I remember like my head poking out of my mom's woo-woo, looking at these 2 big, tall guys. And everyone in that room was frigging smoking cigarettes, even my mother. There was a big cloud of smoke in there. And the doctor kind of threw everyone out. And she had her nurse with her and did this and cleaned it all up and like put a fan to blow the smoke out of the operating, because they pulled my mother into the operating room because I wasn't coming out. And she, I'm sure my mom wrapped that thing around my neck because she had so many kids, and she had 2 deaths, right at birth. The 2 before me died that way. So, somewhere in her psyche or in her body or somewhere, no more kids, tired of this shit. And this doctor saved my butt, and was my doctor until, I went off to a seminary, because I was a sick kid until I was 10. And she found a doctor to do his magic on me to get me not to be sick. And the thing that really got me from being a, sick person every year around my birthday was they took me to Florida, and I got really sick, ended up in a hospital. I was watching A Wizard of Oz in a temperature of 140, and everyone was ignoring me. It was a Catholic hospital. The nuns were praying or masturbating or doing something, and having sex with Jesus. That's what they were always talking. I heard the nuns, when I was in, like, they were talking about having sex with Jesus. Now, don't believe a word I say, because I was in, another state of mind. So, boo. So, I was the creature, Martin, you say it's a great story, Frankenstein. Got to take a little further than that. What do you think? I told, my thing is that it's a story. Mary Shelley's talking about bad parenting. But there are a lot of these other Greek benchmarks that I look for when I see a story told, right? And it's not just Greek. It is a, I talk about, if you go into my xratted.blogspot.com and you read legend, I start talking about the artist in the first person, the Aboriginal. The guy in the cave, before anything, they just figured out fire, there's charcoal. What does he do with that? There's a lot of things he could have done with it. But what's he do? He starts drawing pictures on the cave wall. Now, he was doing it not to make wallpaper, but he did it because he wanted to express his feelings with others. That is the artist in the first person, the Aboriginal. When you look at Aboriginal art, and I've lived with lots of Aborigines, their grass skirt, their houses, everything is art. The way they cut the guava melon, the way they make maize, everything is art. If you ever seen the Navajo, when they have the traditional way of doing it, a stone with a thing and a piece of wood that they're pounding the corn, they do it as an art form, So when I used to make tofu and sprouts, I did it in a ceremonial art form. When I do this show, I do it in a ceremonial art form, That's definitely and that's another Greek motif, attacking, trying to kill, not something that's a threat, but something we don't understand or we don't like even, I mean, look at, when the Dixie Chicks made that great album, Mr. President, and all those folks, burnt their CDs, and instead of, they had to get thousands of CDs to burn them because they're small. And so they had to have a big pile of, so they spent like 20 grand buying Dixie Chick CDs and then burning them. And the Dixie Chicks just loved it because they were making they made about $1,500 off that. And the more people did stuff like that, the more other people said, well, who are these Dixie Chicks? And that's when they became the most popular, not the least popular. So there's a motif that runs in this, and it's called love. Love's co-creation. And as you read Shelley's Frankenstein, the person who's most human is the creature. I love the scene when, I love young Frankenstein, and I love that scene when creature sees the blind, monk, and the monk sets the creature, and the creature is like, wow, this guy's being nice to me. He's like, and so he keeps the monk keeps doing nice things for him, but sets the creature on fire, gives him something that's so hot it burns his mouth. I love Mel Brooks. I think Blazing Saddle did more for gender and race relations than any other piece of art in the last 100 years. That last scene where Bart and his buddy, crazy redheaded curly boy, get in a bar brawl, and it gets so out of hand that it breaks through the wall of the bar, which is just a set of a movie, and goes into a Busby Berkeley where all these gay guys are in tuxedos dancing down to say, get out your hat, do, and the cowboys smash into them, and then the guys in the tuxedo fighting them, and then they break through that set into the war one where the Nazis and the Japs and the English and the Americans are fighting each other, and then the cowboys are fighting and the gay guys are fighting, and it just keeps going into different group after group after group to where they all get exhausted and just start going, okay. And so the Nazis, well, not the cowboys are getting it on with the, that was Brokeback Mountain before Brokeback Mountain. So humility and humor kind of go together very nicely, right? Grace and forgiveness go together very nicely. Generosity and hospitality go together very nicely. So, let's see, what time is it? Oh, it's getting that time. I have to get on the road because I have 40 miles to go, and I have to go through the accordion of between the Appalachian Mountains and the Blue Ridge. And so I go up mountains, down mountains, up, down. So right at this time, the sun at the top is like blaring right in my eyeballs. And then I go down and I can't see anything. So if I leave now, I won't get that. In another 20, 30 minutes, it'll be the height of that. And I'll have to wait another hour or two. And then I'll be in real darkness, because then the sun will have, it won't have set, but it will have gone below where those mountains are. And then it'll be dark down at the bottom. So I've been talking a lot, Martin. I will try and do this again maybe Saturday or Friday. So keep an ear out. And if I do it, I might come back this way. So I like trying to do it twice. If I come here, I can do it twice, right? Come early enough in the morning, put down an hour's worth of a show to set up a motif. I want to talk about death, and we kind of did a little bit, but it takes you guys a bit to get into the swing of things, where I just hit the ground running. But it's okay. It's whatever it is, right? So, and like I said, out of the 400 or so cadre, there are 180 people who want to be adepts, and they're actually, out of all of everybody, 8 people have risen to the occasion, and there are a lot of people from that 8 people to the other adepts and that are in between, maybe another 30. But 8 people have changed their life, really, really changed their life, their whole worldview, they were like miserable folk, and now they're not, because they're awake, and they've been able to put juxtaposition their whole life, and so that their life wasn't a waste of time, wasn't miserable, it was actually lessons, and they've learned from them, right? So, and of all of you, and most of you who are talking right now fit in that category, who by watching the show, by talking on the chat, by being part of the cadre, you've made your life better, right? And so kudos to you. And that's what makes me feel good about doing this. That's why I do this. Yes, you can go to PayPal and go to and when it says, who do you want to send this money to? The dudeawake42@gmail, and send me a little gift. And that would be, greatly appreciated, because right now I got about $58 in my checking account that has to last me until I get my Social Security money or the big stimulus golden ring. But right now I expected both by now, but they're not. So I spent more than I should have earlier, and so that's why I have only $58 in the thing. So if anyone could send anything, that would be thumbs up to me. And if you could throw me a few more thumbs up, that would be great. And if you tell more people, get more people to watch this. I watch lots of other people YouTube, see what people are doing, and it's because they are on the top. I'm like at the bottom of the algorithm, right? Because until I get to at least 500, they're not even gonna think about amortizing my little show. And I don't, in a lot of ways, I like the fact that when you bop into Dreamy Dreamland, you're not seeing a commercial first. You're just seeing me. In a lot of ways, everything always works out the best for me. So I'm not worrying about anything. I just kind of mentioning these things because people judge. No, I don't. Because I don't believe in anything. To judge something, you got to believe in it. I don't believe in good and bad. I believe in only one thing. My faith. I don't believe. I have faith in love's co-creation of all our relations, one love. And that we have all the time it takes to get to heaven, because we're already there. And it ain't ending anytime soon until we can, and this is only one little step of that ascension. And a lot of us have been stuck here for long, 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 long. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, tomorrow and tomorrow. That's what Hamlet's talking about. So I'm going to say goodbye. I love you. Right? Remember the solid prayer. Father Sky, Mother Earth, Holy Spirit, hear our prayer. Bless us indeed. Enlarge our territory. Put your hands upon our shoulders and keep us from evil so we will do no harm. So in every day, in every way, we can take the peace of the earth and make it stronger through love's co-creation, for all our relation in one love. Aho. So say we all. Have a great day. Love you. See you soon in the next day or two. Do, 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 do.